Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I have a big update for June in my reading journal. So I always tend to read the most books in July, but this year it was June. I was bummed I couldn't keep my record going for, July, but that's okay. June was just an incredible month of books, and I read a whopping 18 books, which is just amazing, especially since 10 of them were physical books. And obviously I was very excited about summer, and I just kept reading and reading and reading. I did start the month off with a nonfiction book about women and their cycle, and then I finished up a book from a favorite series, the Bergman Brothers. I also listened to Yes Please, which is the Amy Poehler, I think that's how you say her last name, her memoir. And then I also listened to a memoir, Solito, I think I'm saying that right, but I listened to that one as well. There was just a big variety of books. So I put down all the covers as you saw, and then I flipped back to the beginning where the monthly faves are, and I put The Paradise Problem, which was from Christina Lauren. I love their books. I just can't get enough of them. And it just so happens that the book cover was very summery, so it's going to make for a really fantastic color scheme. You can see that I am starting to fill in the stats for the books, and I put 18 was the total number of books. I wrote down that physical was 11, but I think it was actually 10. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? And then audio was 6 and Kindle was 1, but I actually think it was 2. And then the total number of pages was 5,638. And I spent just about 55 hours in audio. I had my receipts from the library. Thankfully, I did not lose them like I usually do. I wish there was a way to access them online. That would be really cool to be able to see that. And so people like me who lose their receipts and want to know those statistics, I can easily look them up. So I used my scrap piece of paper to add up the total savings for the library, and I came up with $367.89, which is amazing. So I have all of the stats filled out, even the average rating, which was 4.22, and now I'm going to fill in my shelves. I fill them in with the book title, and then I color them in with colored pencil, which so far of all the methods that I've done, I like this method the best. The only problem is I need to remember to set aside the specific colored pencils I use, so that way I can have the same colors month after month, and I'm not looking for them or using the wrong ones, because I want it to look the same. I'd love to use the book covers or the spines of the actual books, like find an image, but finding an image of book covers is becoming harder and harder to do. So coloring and stamping is what's going to work. And I actually made it onto the second page for the year, which is very exciting. I had to put 3 books on that side. So very happy with my reading so far for this year, and especially kicking off the summer with a lot of different books. And one of the books was Annie Bot. Everybody was talking about this science fiction book. It's going to be a favorite process video sometime soon, but it's a fascinating book about a woman who, she's a robot, but she acts like a woman, and she's in a relationship with a man, and it's just so interesting. Not something I would normally read, but I'm so glad I did. I also read what I think is considered uplip. It's called Sipsworth, and it's about a woman who's kind of at the end of her life, and she just feels very down and out, and then she finds a mouse, and it just brings the whole community together, and it brings her into the community, and she's able to find friends and solace, and it was very interesting. So I really enjoyed that book, even though it was a little slow for me, and a little quirky too. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. Okay, so now we're going to fill in the Goodreads, and because I forgot to write down the number 66, I just grabbed a piece of spare paper and I'm going to make my own 66 box and put it right in between 65 and 67 and call it good enough. Because if you've watched my videos, I've talked about how I skipped 66. I don't know how that happened, but you know, okay, I do know how that would happen. That would happen because you're trying to count out all these boxes and then, you know, sometimes you just forget a number. I am going to obviously color in 18 boxes, and I like to pick a color I haven't used before. And this time I went with a pink color, which is a color I'm going to use in my June spreads. And so according to this Goodreads, I am at 82 as of June. And then for the goals pages, like I said, last time I did an update, 50,000 pages is quite a lot, but I was able to do the nonfiction, so that's really exciting. And same thing with the Goodreads books. So now that I'm on the second set of, you know, putting in my 2024 books, there's a lot of flipping back and forth. So I apologize for that. But I did add several letters like A, Annie Bot, and then M for Mrs. Quinn's Rise to Fame, and then P for the Paradise Problem. And I think that was it. Mrs. Quinn's Rise to Fame was another book that I would consider uplit about a woman in, you know, the later years of her life, and she really wanted to just do something for herself and kind of step outside of her comfort zone. So she decided to sign up for a cooking show and, you know, kind of kept it from her husband. And being on this cooking show really took her on a really fun journey. Okay, so I did the genres. I did not have any 12 books, 12 friends. I also didn't have any Read Around the USA books, but I did have some romance books. And I noticed that when I was putting down the Paradise Problem, it wasn't the right size. So I think I just needed to put it in the monthly faves. So just switch the romance and the monthly faves, and then it will all work out. And then I can add in all of the romance books. And I don't know if you saw this, but in the Read Around the USA, I had a Post-it note because I wanted to keep some options open so that way hopefully I can finish the challenge this year. So that way I know what books I'm gravitating towards and I have those there and available. And for the romance challenge, I put in 5 books. Okay, so now I'm going to get ready to make my calendar. And I think I'm going to still keep the calendar for next year. I just really want to write down a guide so that way I can remember how many dots down it is and how many dots over. Because overall, I love the calendar and being able to see, you know, when I started books and when I finish them. And it's just nice to spot some trends if there are any trends. Like lately, I've noticed that I tend to finish my audiobook and my physical book at the same time. Like it's not intentional, it just keeps working out that way. And one of those coincidences or coinky dink. Has anybody ever said coinky dink? I don't know, but I say it sometimes. Anyways, back to the calendar. I am finishing up my boxes, and again, doing it in pencil helps so much to make it so much quicker, and it can just look really nice because I mess up with pencil and not the pen. And then I just use my sand eraser to erase the pencil marks. I'm grabbing some Ali Edwards scrapbooking stamps and also a palm leaf stamp, which is the wood block over on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and stamp June, and I have some washi tape in pink and also green. I'm going to put pink down at the bottom because the green washi tape I have is kind of a different one. At least, you know, this washi tape, as far as I know, I'm using it correctly, but it's like little, I want to say almost pebbles or little squares of green, but it has lots of variations of green. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down at the bottom and also up at the top. And I love this green washi tape. I got it from BBB Supplies. She has a great washi tape shop, and I love it. So I put down the green little stones. I think they're either stones or pebbles. I don't know. Either way, they're really pretty. I put them down, and I already said earlier that I'm going to make this page very summary and kind of go with the colors from the Christina Lauren book, The Paradise Problem. And I have a few stamp phrases from Syncopation Designs to use as well, like beach read, and then emotionally attached to characters, fictional characters. So my original intention was to just use the palm leaf stamp, and then somehow I got distracted or I wasn't paying attention, and I wound up using this leaf stamp over and over again in 3 different colors, and it turned out really, really pretty. So I'm not too bummed about it, but my whole intention of getting out that palm leaf stamp was to go ahead and use it. But then I came up with kind of a clever little fix for that, and I'm going to do it in just a little bit. So with this leaf stamp, I used 3 different colors of green ink, since the book cover has all different shades of green in it. And I'm just loving how this looks, but really for me, any type of layout or project that has greenery and foliage in it makes me so happy, and it just turns out so pretty. So my solution to use this palm leaf stamp, or if I'm saying it wrong, you guys just let me know in the comment section. But anyways, this tropical leaf, I decided to do it in black, and that way it really pops off the page, and I love the result. It's just a little bit of black that I needed, and it definitely emphasizes the palm leaf, tropical leaf, whatever we're going with. And then I stamped my other phrases as well. I'm going to write out the calendar days, Monday through Sunday. And lately I've noticed that when I stamp, I smear things, or maybe it was just the type of ink. Either way, I want to make sure that I am protective of the stamps and not get it on my arm or smear anything. So that's why I have the scratch piece of paper. I draw in a circle for the dates, and then I use my pen to write in the dates 1 through 30. And most of the time I decorate up at the top if there's empty boxes. So like June starts on Saturday. So normally I would decorate the Monday through Friday with either washi tape or a stamped phrase, but this time I didn't. I don't know. I wanted to get it done quickly and kind of catch up on my reading journal. I feel like I'm really dragging and really going slow, but I'm doing the best that I can. Okay, so I started off the month by finishing up the book about the cycle, and also finishing up book number 5 in the Bergman Brothers series called Everything for You. I then started on a nonfiction book, another one called The Subtle Act of Not Giving a You Know What. And that one was very, very interesting, had some good perspectives and thinking ideas in it. I also read 2 thrillers. One was called The Reappearance of Rachel Price, which a lot of people were talking about, and it was definitely a very interesting thriller. Didn't go the way that I expected it to go, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Darling Girls, I listened to that on audio, and it was utterly fantastic. Definitely a favorite book of Sally Hempsworth. I think I'm saying that right. But lately I hadn't been enjoying her books, but I really loved Darling Girls. Very good. I also got to read The Guncle number 2, where he goes abroad in Italy, and that was a lot of fun to read. Not as good as the first Guncle, but still a great book, and I really enjoy the characters. And that's the other thing that I noticed a lot this month, is that I read a lot of series. So either it was number 2 in the series or further along in the series. But it was a great month of reading in lots of different genres, and just so much reading, which always makes me thrilled. So once I have all of these written out, I like to draw lines to indicate when the days that I read the book or listened to the book. And then I'll go back and highlight the books. I think I did pink for the physical books, and then green was for the audiobooks. And I guess I didn't listen to a lot of audiobooks. I don't know. I felt like I read more this month, which is fine. Either way is fine to me as long as I'm reading or listening, because listening, have I already said this? I feel like maybe I've said it a few times, but truly listening to audiobooks helps me get chores done, like cleaning or dishes or laundry or maybe just ignoring my kids. It helps to get things done. And that way I can zone into a different world. And I'm really enjoying nonfiction books right now. I am listening to a book called In the Water by the female Olympian swimmer, Katie Ledecky. I'm sure we all watched her during the Summer Olympics. She's absolutely incredible. So that's what I'm listening to. And then I am reading a book called The Faculty Lounge. I just started that book. I had to wade through the book called The Lost Story. I probably should have just put that as a did not finish, but took me 8 days, friends, and it should not have taken me 8 days. I don't know. That story just did not resonate with me. It was the author of The Wishing Game, which I really loved. But with this particular book, The Lost Story, it was like going through mud for me. It didn't work for me, I guess you could say. But now I'm on to the Faculty Lounge, and I got my first stock of Halloween spooky type of books. So I'm very excited to dive into some more fall Halloween type books. Do you guys read seasonal books like that? I'd love to know. Okay, so I grabbed the book cover, The Paradise Problem. I made it really big, and this month I did it in color because I liked the color of the cover, obviously. And now I'm going to go ahead and start on the stats. So for genres, I had 18 different genres, which is funny because I read 18 books. So pretty much you could say every single book I read had a different genre. It's interesting to me. I don't know. I found it very interesting to have that many different books. There was also 4 books that I would consider summer or summer-ish, and then 6 books, like I mentioned earlier, that are part of a series. So I love having like 3 random statistics down at the bottom and coming up with those. So that's always a little dash of fun that I can add into my project. And then I also make like a bar graph about nonfiction versus fiction. And I read about like 23% of my books for the month were nonfiction. So that's 3 books, I think. I don't know why I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I think I listened to 3 different nonfiction books. One was about the cycle, the other one was the subtle art of not, and then the other one was a memoir, Solito. So a great variety of nonfiction books that I listened to. Oh no, it's actually 4 because I listened to Yes Please, Amy Poehler's story. So 4 different types of nonfiction books. And then you guys saw that I had everything penciled out. And again, that just makes things go so much quicker when I'm able to pencil everything in. So I put in paper is 10 books, audio was 6, and then Kindle was 2 books. And at the beginning when I did my stats, I think I had 11 for paper, but like I said earlier, it doesn't really matter. And then the next spot that I fill in is the little boxes for the different emotions. And just to remind you, it's I get all these statistics from the app Storygraph, and I just love it. And I think someone recommended it when I was sharing a video last year on here, and so it's been really helpful to have my statistics and break it down for me. I did 7 categories this time just because I had 7 different colored pencils, and I will do my best to try to make a pie chart. It never looks good. And I always try to like divide it in half with a pencil and then go from there, but I don't know. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's all I'm telling myself. I'm going to go back over to the right-hand side and start stamping in some more statistics. I have hours listened, 55.37. Now, the total number of pages, I think I stamped the wrong one because Storygraph gives you a total amount of pages along with the number of audio hours listened. So I think that's what I stamped instead, because my actual total number of books read is something like 5,600 and something. So I'll probably have to go back and re-stamp that at some point. And then the total number of books I already said is 18, and I left a big spot for genres as well. Some of them, because I certainly did not write down all of them. I wrote down romance, thriller, science fiction, fantasy, sports, memoir, self-help, mystery, young adult. So a really great variety. Now, my friend Erica knows how to make bar graphs in Canva, and if she can teach me how to do that, or maybe I should just look it up myself, I'm probably going to do that for next year, because I feel like this bar graph just does not look great, but I'm getting better at it as the months go by. My biggest rating was 4, and that was 7 books I rated at a 4. And as you can see, looking at the pie chart, I had a really big variance of ratings this month. And I did not add in this month the average rating. I don't know why I didn't add that in. All these things. This is why I said earlier that I really need to keep like one piece of paper with like the recipe, basically the recipe of how I put things together, so that way I don't have to like come up with it off the top of my head, because that's not working and I forget certain things, you know? Anyways, I have stamped June stats using a Kerri Bradford stamp set, and now I'm attempting to make a pie chart with 7 different sections. That way I can use the variety of colored pencils, and then I will do some decorating with the stamping using that tropical leaf. And I just used, again, the sand eraser to make sure that everything is erased, because I just like it better when you can't see the pencil marks. I don't know why. So the first section is funny, which makes sense because I had several books that had some great banter between the 2 characters and were just funny books. The next one was emotional. That one is always in my top 2, I guess you could say. And then the third one was lighthearted, followed by tense, reflective, hopeful, and then other. So always so fun to see that. And again, if I can learn how to do pie charts and bar graphs in Canva, I am going to probably switch to that next year and just print it out like a clear sticker and save myself some time. Even though I'm currently working on June, we are almost at the end of September, and that's why I feel like I'm very behind on my reading journal, and I feel like I really want to think about ways to make it easier to put together a reading journal, because I absolutely love it. I love seeing all my books together. I love coming up with statistics, but I definitely want it to be a little bit faster. So that's just where I'm at with my thoughts. You can see here I've grabbed that wood stamp and I'm adding in the leaf stamping. I'm also going to add in a little bit of small pink flowers, since there is some on the book cover, and then some black stamped stars as well, and then a word phrase that says love to read, live to read. And I forgot that a lot of the time I like to put in fave for my favorite book, and I didn't leave a spot for that. I'm missing a lot of pieces in here, but I decided to grab my stamp set again and stamp out fave right below the book cover, and that will work just fine. Again, like I said, I gotta make a recipe sheet for myself so that way I can check off the list as I go. So I got those stars, and I really love how those help draw your eye to the different spots around the page. Last thing to do is stamp out fave, and it looks really great because it's in black and it's right over the other stamping. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this come together. I so appreciate it, and have a great day. Bye.